would I be the asshole for cutting off my dad and his wife if they planned on being buried together instead of my dad being buried with my late mom?
Ooh. Oh, this is tough. Yeah.
Mhm. My mom passed on when I was 14 years old. My dad moved on and married my stepmother 5 years later. I've always missed how romantic my dad and mom were. They had a wonderful marriage. What really made me insecure was the fact that my stepmom used to be my dad's long-term ex in high school, who reconnected when she passed and they got together. My dad had told my mom that they broke up due to long distance. The fact that they had pre-established history before my mom even came into the picture always made me insecure.
Mm-hmm.
At their wedding, speeches were made idolizing their love, how they were each other's first and going to be each other's last. It felt like a jab at my mom's memory, even though there was nothing wrong with it, and my stepmom was mostly cool with how things were. But it didn't stop me from believing that my mom was being seen as a placeholder for my dad's current wife. I may have a small grudge against what she said at their wedding. Quote, "We found each other again after all this time. It was destiny for us to be together."
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that disrespectful to my mom? However, my dad was completely swooning over that. Recently, I got to know my dad has made the decision to change his burial spot and now is making plans to get buried with my stepmom. This made me really upset, and I screamed at them both because it felt heartless of my dad that my mom is buried all alone. We had a family meeting, and my dad told me that stepmom is his life partner now, and it is important for him to honor the vows he made to her and the fact that she has been far longer in his life as his wife than my mom was. I have a reason to believe my stepmom initiated this discussion as well, but I can't confirm that. I haven't spoken to them ever since, and I'm planning to cut both of them off. Am I the asshole?
Am I in the wrong for demanding that my fiance stop teaching our kids bad manners? My fiance, Lola, and I have been together for 5 years, engaged for a little over a year, and we have twins, boy and girl, 2.5. Our wedding is in 2 months. Lola usually takes care of feeding the kids in the morning since I work early, and so I never noticed this until recently. I took a week vacation from work just to spend time at home with the kids and Lola, and started to notice something that bothered me. Lola has been teaching our kids bad table manners and sees nothing wrong with it. I hadn't noticed this before, as I didn't eat this type of food for lunch, dinner, snacks, or eat it all the time, so I guess I just missed it, as I wasn't home or she fed them other things on the weekends. This morning, I was helping Lola make breakfast, and then I got the kids ready while she brought their food out for them. As they were getting ready to eat, I noticed they didn't have forks and spoons. So I told Lola that I would get them, and she said there was no need. I watched instead, and she gave the kids tortillas that she ripped into pieces, and they were using their bare hands to grab food using pieces of tortilla. I asked her what she was doing and that she should be giving them utensils, but she seemed shocked that I was concerned and said that's how they always eat. I told her that she was teaching them bad manners and making them think it was okay to just grab food with their hands. She told me that they do that anyway when they have chips or grapes or tacos and pizza, and also listed a bunch of other snacks and fast food you eat without utensils. But I pointed out that those things are usually made to be eaten quickly or on the road, like fast food, so utensils aren't needed. She said I was being offensive by calling her way of eating gross and saying it was having bad manners. But I do think it's gross to see someone grabbing at food with their bare hands like that. She said that she grew up eating like that and would always use tortillas to eat things like eggs or meat, rice, beans, and it wasn't gross because she's always made the kids wash their hands before they ate. I ended up giving my kids forks for them to eat, which they didn't want to use, which made me even more frustrated with her because now they're used to this. Lola has been really annoyed the rest of the day and wouldn't let me help her with lunch, and earlier she was walking around the house speaking to someone, probably her sister, in Spanish about me, and I'm starting to feel a bit annoyed. So, am I in the wrong? Part 2. My fiance suddenly doesn't want to marry me anymore because of a disagreement we had a year ago. What now? First of all, we've broken up. She gave me back the ring even though I said that she didn't have to, and she could pawn it and keep the money. She didn't want to do that and give it back to me. I think I'll pawn it myself and give her the money since she moved out of the house. She moved in with her brother and his partner, who was actually able to get her a job where he works, and she's apparently starting next week. We'll split our time with the kids, and she said she was able to give shifts that align with my schedule. I have a pretty flexible schedule, but I just prefer to work the same times and days every week. So we'll trade off from the kids when each of us is at work, and we're going to split the weekends. We're also going to get a custody agreement, but we talked it out and we agreed on 50-50 and that we're both going to be cooperative, as I don't want to stress her out and I do want to see my kids. I'll also be brushing up on Mexican culture so that I'm able to participate in things with my children, and I'm also going to take some Spanish classes so that I can communicate with them in both languages. I showed my wife the last post the day after I made it, and she read it over and read all the comments and a lot of other comments. She took like 2 days to do this. Afterwards, she said that she wanted to talk and asked me if I was serious when I claimed that I thought she wanted to break up because of the one fight about food. I said yes, because I was serious and did think that, and she said that she couldn't believe me. I asked her to elaborate, and she got very mad and asked me if I was really so oblivious to my own actions. I realized that I probably have been oblivious to my own actions and that I've been selfish, and she kind of blew up and said something and asked me if I needed a effing list so I could see all the shit that I've been doing. I told her that I would appreciate it if she could communicate some of the issues and there was no need for a list, but she said that a list would probably lessen the chances of me losing focus while she went on a rant. Ouch, but deserved. We ended up having a long talk about it, and she wanted me to include all this, so here we go. When one of her nieces had a quinceañera, I kept calling it a sweet 16. She said that she explained to me multiple times that they were different, had different meanings, different cultural significance, and had different practices. She said that I still call it a sweet 16 when I would talk to people about it or mention it. She also said that I embarrassed her at a party because she felt I was making fun of how her relatives were dancing. I, to this day, sometimes call her Spanish instead of Hispanic, Latina, Mexican. She said that there's a big difference, and me slipping up and forgetting is a BS. When she was pregnant with the twins, I told her that she could give them names that are pronounced in Spanish so that her non-English speaking family could say them easily, and also since they're half Mexican. We agreed that she could, so long as I could choose which name was final. She said that I have not held up my end of the deal, and that when we were at Christmas with her family in December, I obsessively corrected her family members when they pronounced our daughter's name, Elena, and kept saying it Elena. According to her, I did this more than 6 times that night, and she stopped keeping count. I didn't let her feed our kids some Mexican stew that she had made because it looked spicy. I genuinely thought it was. She said that she told me she hadn't used spicy peppers, but that night I fed them something else before the soup was done, and she said I disrespected her and her parenting skills. She feels like she's not allowed to listen to her music or any Spanish music because I'll complain or change the song. She said that she can only listen to her music when I am not at home, otherwise I'll always change it within a few seconds. She said there were other smaller examples, but these are bigger ones that she already mentioned and brought up before, and nothing changed. When I asked her why she stayed with me for so long or why she didn't mention these things more, she said that she's had low self-esteem and she thought I was a good person and partner other than these things, so she always talked herself out of a breakup. But she was just over it now. The things she listed off really opened my eyes and made me realize how selfish and aware I've been. I apologize to her, and I know it won't change her mind, but that's okay. I just want her to know that I do regret my actions. I'm not going to ignore her or gray rock her like some people were suggesting. I want us to have a good communication, as I don't want our kids to grow up with parents who hate each other and can't have a simple conversation.
2 weeks before my wedding, my best friend confessed that the reason why me and my fiance got together and will be married is because of her. I don't know what to do. I've been sleepless for days because of this. I need to get this off my chest or my heart might explode. My wedding is on the 19th, and my bachelorette party was last Saturday and was organized by my best friend Lucy. I partied with my bridesmaids, had some shots, and they were so excited for me marrying the love of my life, Erwin. We've been together for 3 years. After the party, everyone was wasted and went home, leaving Lucy and I in the Airbnb. I was not that drunk, at most tipsy, so I helped her clean up because I'll be staying the night with her too. While we're cleaning, she's silent, which is very not like her. She was very active during the party, so I thought she's just tired, so I told her I can finish up and she can rest. So she went to the bedroom. While I was finishing the dishes, she returned to the kitchen. She told me that she needs to tell me something.
Oh, God.
So I stopped what I was doing. Then she said that she's sorry. She did not expect that Erwin would ask me for marriage because, quote, it was a bet gone wrong.
This is worse than I imagined.
I was confused and asked her to elaborate. But what she basically told me is that when I first introduced them to each other, she and Erwin had already had a bet that if he can get me to marry him, she will then date him exclusively. Apparently, they had been secretly dating since before I even met Erwin.
What?
Their relationship was toxic, so they have these constant breaks, but on this particular break, she allowed him to date anyone. That's when Erwin and I happened to meet. When I asked her why she's only telling me this now, she said that she felt guilty. She didn't want to hurt me, but she didn't want to take full accountability and acknowledged Erwin's part in this. She was trying to convince Erwin to come clean together, but he refused and told her, nah, the bet was long gone because he was genuinely in love with me. When I asked her if she still has feelings for Erwin, she answered yes, and she realized how good of a man he is now. When I confessed if Erwin knows how she feels about him, she answered no, but if I allow her to, she'll confess her feelings to him. At this point, I just left. I had no energy left, even if I wanted to slap her in that moment. I feel so played and betrayed and humiliated. The 2 closest people in my life made me a pawn to their sick games. I don't know what to do, where to start. I'm so confused. It's been 3 days and I haven't told anyone yet, not even Erwin. who is in HK. Not even my parents. Lucy hasn't tried to contact me, and I don't think she said anything yet to Erwin. The wedding is in 2 weeks. How do I face this?
Am I wrong for getting my sister-in-law arrested on her wedding day? I, 24 female, and my husband, 24 male, have 3 dogs, 2 corgis and a Pomeranian. I rescued them from a puppy mill that was shut down about 6 months ago. They were all in horrible condition and had numerous medical issues. They are very friendly dogs and have adjusted to their new lives extremely well. My now sister-in-law, Amy, has met them a few times before the events occurred. Amy said she wanted them to be her ring bearer and flower girls for her wedding. Amy and I don't get along at all. She has said numerous hurtful and cruel things about me to my family and really anybody who will listen. I am not even invited to the wedding as I would ruin the vibe. What? How are you not invited to your own sister-in-law's wedding, but she wants your dogs? I told her she would not be using my dogs for her wedding for multiple reasons, including me not being invited, and they were all having surgery a few days prior. They were all getting spayed as well as dental work. She wasn't happy about being told no. Now, at the event that happened a couple of weeks ago, all of my dogs had their surgeries on a Thursday. The wedding was on a Sunday in the evening. My husband and I left the house to go run some errands Sunday morning, and the dogs were home asleep. I got a notification on my phone about motion at my back door. I check it, and it is Amy opening the door and walking into the house. Oh my God, please tell me she don't steal your dogs. Oh my God. I started panicking and telling my husband we need to leave now and go back to the house. I show him the video and he agrees. I start calling my brother and demanding for him to get his wife out of my house, and if she leaves with my dogs, I will call the police. He hung up on me. I got home and all of my dogs are gone and their cones were left in their crates. I called the police for theft and breaking and entering. The police arrived and I showed them the video of her getting into our house and leaving with the dogs. I told them where her venue was as I had seen a copy of the invitation. The police made it to the venue and were able to locate all of my dogs. One had opened her stitches and was bleeding from the wound. My husband rushed her to the emergency vet to get the stitches closed. Amy was arrested in the middle of getting ready for her wedding and has been charged with a Class 1 felony and a few misdemeanors. Now everybody is saying I ruined the wedding and I overreacted to the entire situation. I am also being told that I need to pay them back for the wedding since it never happened. I'm refusing to pay anybody back as well as drop the charges. My 33 female, husband 35 male, played a fart prank on me at our wedding, leaving me absolutely humiliated. How do I recover from this? I knew it was coming. Yes, I have been hounding him to propose to me after 6 years of being together, and it looked like we were finally going to take a step forward in our relationship. Until our wedding day, and I haven't since stopped being upset and crying my eyes out. The day I was supposed to feel my most beautiful, I may have looked like a disgusting pig. After the wedding vows were done, we were escorted at the stage where there was a love seat. My husband asked me to sit first, and as I did, I heard a ripping sound of a fart, followed by howls of laughter with him teasing me. It was a prank. There was a fart machine that was loud enough for everyone to hear it. At first, I was in shock, then in denial, and was completely stunned with tears that I was trying to hold back. The event ended soon after with reception scheduled for tomorrow night. I invested so much, emotionally and materially, into making our wedding perfect, as my husband decided to give me lead on things as he's not a great planner. The perfect dress, the perfect makeup, venue, flowers, etc. Only for me to be mocked at and humiliated. I am currently at my own apartment and have refused to speak to my husband and contemplating an annulment. He says it was just a prank and has been begging me to come back. He also said he would make it up to me and help me get over it. In the slight chance it is, can someone convince me otherwise? We have way too much history together.
It is titled, Am I the Asshole for Not Warning My Partner of an Outcome I Thought Was Common Sense? Last night, I, 21 female, cooked dinner as I usually would for my partner, 20 male, and it was a chicken dish. If it makes any difference, chicken breast I had bought packaged from a supermarket yesterday, and it was still relatively fresh according to the use-by date. Between my partner and I, if one cooks, the other will wash the dishes and put leftovers away. And so later that night, my partner was washing up and went to put the leftovers away, but for whatever reason decided to leave the dinner leftovers in the saucepan on the stove.
Okay.
I had noticed before I went to bed and asked what he was planning on doing with the leftovers, and he just replied, quote, I'm taking them to work tomorrow for lunch. Fair enough, I thought, and went to bed. Come the next morning, and we're both getting ready to leave for work. And by the time I made my way downstairs, my partner had already packed his lunch and was getting ready. I thought nothing out of the ordinary, and we both headed off for the day. Posting in real time I not long ago get home and find my partner glued to the loo, groaning and moaning and some other unpleasant sounds. I asked what's wrong, and he starts going off about the chicken. I just said, well, I'm fine. Did you heat it up enough before eating it? And in return, got a meek response of, no, I ate it cold from the saucepan.
Yeah, that was what I was worried about.
I'm not going to lie, I was a bit confused on why he was eating it from the saucepan, and even more confused because I didn't see him leave this morning with the saucepan. So I asked about a container. He said apparently all of our food containers have vanished from the cupboard, and he hadn't washed any others that night. So he just left the leftovers on the counter overnight and took them to work today. I really didn't mean to sound the way I did when I said it, but I replied, quote, why the fuck would you do that?
Normalize it.
Did you want food poisoning? And he fired back angrily, well, last night when you asked, why didn't you say anything about it? He's foaming, frothing at the mouth. Yeah, well, I thought it was common sense that leaving chicken out for 12 hours, 16 hours, I believe, by the time he actually eats his lunch,
Oh no.
and then eating it would lead to a bad situation, but apparently not. So am I the asshole for not warning him of the consequences
Oh my
of
God.
eating old, unrefrigerated chicken?